So the duels at Daytona are over. I'm not in my normal setup here because it's just the duels. I'm not going to keep you here for too long, but I did want to talk about them and the controversy in the second duel because it's not a NASCAR race without a little bit of controversy. And we'll get to that, but let's talk about the first duel first. So starting in the first duel, we have basically the big open car situation. There's 9 open cars for this duel thing. Last night we had Johnson and Truex lock themselves in on speed. I was shocked by that, by the way. Did not expect Toyotas to be that quick, but apparently they are. So yeah, Johnson, Truex locked themselves in. Worked out well because neither one of them raced their way in, so good on them. But we had Truex, Allgaier, Castro Neves, Chandler Smith. We'll get to that. And J.J. Yaley in that first duel to race their way in. And it was entertaining. I'll give them that. That first open group was really entertaining to watch. Before we even got going, there were a few cars that did have to go to pit road for multiple reasons. We had Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, and Chastain. None of them had lasting effects. They all ended up coming back and running up front, but they had to go to pit road early on. So hopefully that's not a sign of possible problems. I know that there was a problem that Jimmy had in the second duel, and there was also William Byron was saying he had a fuel pump issue, or he was running out of fuel. I don't think he was running out of fuel. I think it was something else. So interesting that we're having mechanical problems very early on. Normally that's not a big deal, but apparently it's a big deal now. So yeah. But early in duel 1, Zane Smith ends up blowing a tire, hits the wall. He's not bad enough to where he was out of it, but it basically killed any chance that he was going to win the duel. That led to stacking the field up again, and it didn't completely get away from the fuel mileage situation, but it did lessen it, and that led to a big one crash that we had later. Well, not technically. Technically, it was Chandler Smith that led to that, but I think the fuel mileage thing, them not trying to be as protective of saving fuel, leads to incidents like Chandler Smith did. So yeah, Chandler Smith basically misjudged it. I know he blamed it on his mirror wasn't working, his digital dash wasn't working. I don't buy that. If you have a spotter, you have your digital dash, you have multiple mirrors, you can't tell me that if you can't see that, don't be making moves like that. I mean, that's just bad judgment on his case. I don't think you just own up to it. Say, hey, I messed up. It's on me. I shouldn't have made the move. I made the move. And if it was your mirrors, guess what? Your mirrors don't make the move. You made the move. And so, yeah, it's sorry, but that knocked Chandler Smith out. Helio Castroneves, he got involved with it. And I know people are dogging him on Twitter and everything, and they're saying, well, he doesn't know how to drive or whatever. Okay, it's not his fault, one, that he was involved in the wreck. And two, he doesn't race banked tracks as much as, NASCAR guys do. Didn't realize, hey, I probably shouldn't run up on the banking whenever I have a damaged car. That's what he was doing. It's obvious that he was doing that, and it ended up causing him to wreck again in turn 3 and 4. Was that a mistake on his part? Yes. Is that a big enough sign to where he is like, oh, he shouldn't be running the 500? No, it's a mistake, but it's not as bad as Chandler Smith, and nobody was being upset if Chandler Smith was able to race. So I don't. I mean, I'm still fine with Helio being able to race on Sunday. He's not taking anybody else's spot. He's the 41st entry, so I'm fine with it. But this kind of killed his chances. It also damaged J.J. Yaley in this wreck. Not enough to where it was any kind of major damage, but basically now it was down to J.J., Allgaier, and Truex. But since Truex was already in, it was basically between Allgaier and J.J. Yaley here. And that was a good show. I enjoyed watching them. They were running 3 wide for half of the last part of this race. And it was really entertaining. I enjoyed them. J.J. Yaley put on a really good show. He really tried hard. And while for like BJ McLeod and some of the other guys, I love BJ McLeod, but BJ McLeod never tonight was like showing me, hey, he could make it in. With JJ Yaley, I was like, he could make it in. He could straight up beat Truex and beat Justin Allgaier. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way at the end, but I think there is a alternate reality where JJ Yaley did race his way in. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool, but now that, Johnson didn't, finish first, and if it would have happened that JJ ended up getting it, then obviously that would have meant that Justin Allgaier would have missed out. Justin Allgaier is just the best storyline. I know it's really cool if JJ would have made it in, but yeah, it's just how it is. So yeah, Justin Allgaier makes it in. Truex is also in from the first duel. And coming to the line, on the outside there, Justin Allgaier basically was helping form a third line with AJ Allmendinger, and I thought AJ Allmendinger might win this race. And then Ty Dillon, who was running okay all night, decided, I'm going to block my teammate. For whatever reason, I don't know, but he did, and he caused both of them to not be able to win, and then Bubba Wallace wins. Good on Bubba Wallace. He did a great race all night. Him and Tyler Reddick did great defending that front and everything. Great on them. Great for Bubba Wallace. Great way to start off the season. Gives him a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. Glad for him. He deserved that win. So, duel number 2. This one, the open cars were Jimmy Johnson, Corey LaJoie, Anthony Alfredo, and BJ McLeod. Like I said, the open cars in the first duel were really entertaining. This duel, not so much. Johnson ran up front for a while, then he ended up having a mechanical fuel problem. I don't know what happened with him, but yeah, he basically was out of it. And then BJ McLeod ran in the back. He tried to make some runs go. I saw him trying back there, but it just never materialized. And then Anthony Alfredo was running good, but Corey LaJoie basically ran up front all night. He was working with the RFK guys and the Penske guys, so obviously it's hard to beat those guys. And so when you're working with them, you're basically just going to finish up front. Now, this race went relatively clean for about 80% of it. And then once we got to pit road, then when we blended back in, we had the RFK guys basically split, and then they all had to check up whenever that happened. When that happened, Cindric tried to pass Chris Buescher. Didn't work out. Those two didn't wreck, but because of that, stacked up the field. Suarez wrecks into Bowman, and then Bowman wrecks into Brad Keselowski, causing a 3-car pileup. All 3 of them are damaged. I would assume that Bowman can fix his and Brad can fix his. Don't know if Suarez can fix his or not, but I mean, it's, hopefully they are all, able to, get it back going pretty quickly. I know Helio had his crash. He'll probably have to go to a backup. Probably they can get Suarez in just his same car because they have 4 cars they're having to do, and they wreck another one in this race. So, yeah, the good part of having a big team is whenever you wreck a bunch, you have to fix a bunch. So, yeah. But anyway, that was that big one. Now we're going to reset it, and we lead up to the finale of the second duel. So the racing leading up to the ending here was very good. I enjoyed it. I thought the Legacy Motor Club cars were running very good. You never see John Hunter Nemechek was never really up there, but Jimmy was running good. Eric Jones was running good. They were up front quite a bit, so good on them. And then obviously the Penske guys are doing really well, and it's Penske. Chris Buescher was there. Our Brad was there, but because of the accident, he's not there anymore. And then Corey LaJoie was there. So good little bunch of cars. I think they all did well of not causing an incident, really. Kyle Larson, I'm just going to talk about a few of them before I get into the mess at the end. Kyle Larson did well. He was running up front for a decent amount of it. Ended up having a pit road speeding penalty. Same thing with Denny Hamlin. I knew as soon as Denny Hamlin messed up in his pit box. He slid the tires, was pitting too far forward, then he had to back up, and then he zoomed out of pit road. So I knew he had a speeding penalty. But yeah, those guys had a pit road penalty. John Hunter Nemechek, pit road penalty. They all got back, were able to, run decent, but it basically meant they were in the back, so they really never got back up front. But as we come to the end, Corey LaJoie races his way in. Anthony Alfredo put up a good effort. BJ McLeod, he was there. They both tried, and I give them credit for that. They didn't do a Chandler Smith, but they weren't there. So Corey LaJoie is in, and coming to the line, side by side, Eric Jones wins the race. But no. So their argument is that they threw the caution before they got to the checkered flag. And I have problems with this. And I want to take it back to 2007. We have that iconic finish with Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin. And the field's wrecking behind them. They pan to the leaders as they come across the line. Lights are flashing in the stands and everything. Photo finish. It's an iconic Daytona 500 moment. Probably in the top 3, at least top 5, most iconic Daytona 500s of all time. Imagine that race if the caution comes out and they say, well, Kevin Harvick beat him to the line, but we're going to go back to the moment of caution, and Mark Martin actually wins the race. Mark Martin wouldn't have been happy. Austin Cindric's not happy about this. He's happy because he has to be happy, but you can tell he's like, I don't really want to win it this way. He wanted to win it by beating him to the line. All drivers want that. And if this was the Daytona 500, this is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. Don't let this happen. And I know, okay, Kevin Harvick's point after the broadcast was that you don't want your car, like the rest of the field, to be going full speed through an accident. Okay, here's the problem with this. If the wreck happens in the middle of the pack, none of them drivers are going to slow down. They're not. They're going to check up to not wreck like a normal person would. But they are not checking up because the caution is out. They don't care. That's irrelevant to them. They're thinking right now, I either want to get through this wreck or get as high up in the running order, because here's the thing. When NASCAR goes back and they check the running order and everything, I guarantee you 9 chances out of 10, they're not actually like going to be real specific on, oh, this guy was slightly ahead of him at the moment of caution. There's cars wrecking everywhere around them. They're not going to look at that. They're not. What they're going to look at is, how did these guys line up? Is one of them really far ahead? Did one of them skip a bunch of cars? If they don't, they're not really going to pay that much attention. I guarantee you they don't. So it doesn't matter. These guys already try to get really far ahead and get into a spot. So this is irrelevant. His point is irrelevant. And if you're in the lead, guess what? It doesn't matter, because the wreck's behind you. We can't have this be a thing. It just can't. So I propose, why don't we put a line in turn 4? And if the field passes that line, if first place is past that line, like the exit of turn 4, if we are past that line, we race back to the line. Because emergency vehicles, if they wreck at the start of the grandstands to the line, by the time, if they wreck here, those emergency vehicles are not going to be able to respond quick enough. By the time they are rolling out, those cars are already to the line. They're done. And you can say, look, once they're across the line, it's done. You still are going to have cars rolling, because there's always cars rolling because they don't want to stop. They want to roll past the line and finish the race. So that's not changing anything. I don't see what this hurts. Like, what does it hurt? It's a 2.5 mile track. They're easily able to slow down by the backstretch and avoid emergency vehicles by the time they get back to turn 4. There's no downside to this. And the big step side is you don't have events like tonight. If this was your Daytona 500 and you had Eric Jones, who was about to win the Daytona 500 in the 43, Richard Petty's number, for Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson taking majority ownership of Legacy Motor Club, you would have this iconic moment taken away and given to Austin Cindric, who would not be as happy about it because he knows that's not how I want to win the race. So anyway, the field is set. Corey LaJoie is in. Justin Allgaier's in. Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex, and Helio Castroneves will race in the Daytona 500. And that will be on Sunday, hopefully, unless it rains. But hopefully not. I think it will race sometime in Sunday because it looks like there is going to be some rain that morning, but not that afternoon. So that is a big plus there. But, or that afternoon, not that evening. So big plus there. But anyway, what did you think of the duels? I'm not going to rank them. I ranked Bowman Gray last time. I'm not going to rank it with that because it's the duels. It's not as fun to rank it. It's a qualifying race. But I will rank the Daytona 500, and we will review the Daytona 500 here in a few days on Sunday. It'll be Sunday night or early Monday morning, whenever the race ends up finishing. So stay tuned for that. If you did enjoy this video, go check out the Bowman Gray video. I also have made a complete predictions, my NASCAR predictions for 2025, where my thoughts on every driver as well as the playoff predictions. So if you're interested in that, go check that out if you want, as well as subscribe. We're going to be doing a race review for every race this year, as well as any major news stories. I'm not going to do news every day or whatever. And if you're also interested, obviously you can see here, I also do anime videos. If you want to go check that out as well, go check out the Slice of Anime. I'm sure most of you know me from that, but this is kind of a side thing. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys on Sunday for the 500. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Bye.